I think.
Hey, good morning and welcome to In the Know with Jenny. I'm back and I am ready to go. This is going to be a fun day. Oh, this is good. This is exciting. I'm excited to be back on In the Know, broadcasting on Oracle Talk Radio, live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is so fun. Oh, you have no idea. And I have a sidekick here, Rebecca. She's our intern. Rebecca.
Hello.
Isn't that great? We got an intern. Yeah, this is exciting. I don't have my In the Know background yet because I'll tell you what happened. I was all ready. I have three different computers. I had loaded up my new background for the show, all kind of stuff. And apparently the cloud doesn't like me. So I'm just really excited to be back on the air with you guys. I continue to do Chasing Prophecy, but this is fun. I'm just so excited. Thanks to Tom Callway and myself, we partnered up and we started our own radio station. But I have to say, I have to thank UPRN, because if it wasn't for a little issue with YouTube, I would have been still there. But it's going to be a good one, I think. I'm going to get my southern accent like Camilla, okay? Well, anyways, and I see that Rumble, for some reason, we're having trouble streaming to your destination. I wonder why. And the other one, that's crazy. And I probably didn't hit, this is where you're going to come in. I did not hit the live for 360. Oh no. I think we're going to be doing it now. Okay, we're on the air with 360 on the radio. Well, that was stupid. Tom should have reminded me. This is all new. This is the first day, actually the first week on the radio. So we're broadcasting all over the place. And this is going to be an exciting new venture for us. And let's just get some news going here. What's in the news? Okie dokie. Okay, what do we have? I had all notes, by the way. Okay, so we have gang migrants and where is that? Is that, how do you say that, Rebecca? Venezuela? Is that it? Venezuela? Can you?
Yes, correct. In Colorado.
Okay, Colorado. And apparently a gang of migrants took over a apartment complex. Okay, and the police have no evidence capitalizing on hate against immigrants. So we're going to play that video. Do we have that video or not? We don't have that one, huh?
No, we don't have that one.
Oh, we don't have that one. Oh, that's not good. Okay, well, we're going to skip that one. And maybe you can load that in. But how about the astronauts? Do we have that one? Probably not either. I should have reminded you. No, we don't have the astronaut trapped in space.
I can pull that one up for you as well.
Okay, pull that one up for us. And we do have State of the Union. So what we're going to talk about, we have a special guest today, Michael Anthony, and he is a patriot. He has, he doesn't want to be known about his disclosure, America, but we're going to bring him on in just a second. But first, we're going to go ahead and play these tapes. This one tape about the state. Is this the one about the Biden? Okay. It seems like everything is really whacked out since Camilla came out and told everybody that she was going to be the running for president. I don't know. I just don't know about that. And things that just kind of like went away with Biden. Like he's on the beach and he's sleeping. And who's running the country? That's what we're going to do. So let's just play this one.
Indisputably in decline. During his address, President Biden is going to try to suggest that the State of the Union is strong, and we expect, as was said, that he's going to say this is a time for a reset. But of course, the State of the Union is not strong. And everybody around the country knows it, and everybody in this room knows it. It doesn't matter what political party you're in, where you lean on the political spectrum. You look at objective facts and you know this country is not in good shape because of its leadership in the White House. America's presence on the world stage is in decline. Iran, Russia, China, our adversaries are acting more provocatively than they have in many, many years, and we have unrest unlike we haven't seen since World War II.
Oh, there you go there.
Protesters out in the street, they have a point. A lot of innocent people are being killed on both sides. We're working around the clock, my Secretary of State, to prevent a wider war and reunite hostages with their families and surge humanitarian health and food assistance into Gaza now. To end the civilian suffering of the Palestinian people. And finally deliver a ceasefire and end this war.
Yeah, okay. So without further ado, I want to welcome Michael Anthony onto the show. Hey, welcome, Michael.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. I just want to say a shout out. Michael, he filled in for me when I took a little bit of a vacation. Well, I wouldn't say that. My mother had passed away and I was doing other things, and he took over with Sean Kelly, and I just want to thank him again for that. But Michael.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, first of all, how did you become such a patriot? Is this something that you've always wanted to do? I mean,
Of course not. But, you know, everyone has to step forward if their intuition leads them that way, and mine sort of did. And, you know, I was always into things, Jenny. It was just about, you know, where I was in life like 50 years ago, things of special interest, and I started to see things within the scope and realm of how special interest programs work through ufology and cryptids and so many other different unknowns of the things that go bump in the night. And guess what? They always lead back to the military industrial complexes underground and within space programs and things like that. And you see who the people lead us become wealthiest over us. You know, so I'm looking at all these things, and I thought to myself in my head, I just need to go deeper and work harder and try to talk about them and try to speak to people that have a voice and knowledge. And I started getting into writing people. Oh, God, I don't know, 35, 40 years ago. And I touched base with Jacques Vallée. I touched base with Jordan Maxwell, people like that. Anyway, not to mention names or throw names, but these were the people that were, you know, opening up and whistleblowing a lot of the things that I was looking into. So my track record started surrounding that type of thing and brought me into the political arena. Plus, my family was politically known, you might say. My grandfather was vice president of the Republican Party in Pennsylvania under Elsie Hillman. Yeah, and so, you know, I heard things, I saw things. My brother's name's David Lawrence. Guess why? We lived next door to Governor Lawrence. So his name was David Lawrence, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, yeah, when you sit and break bread and you hear things and you pick up the crumbs, and the Rooney family was over, and, you know, my grandfather boxed with art, I was into the know of different subject matter. And I couldn't believe some of the stuff, and I was so young trying to absorb them. I really didn't know what I was hearing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I started to educate myself, understanding what they were talking about. And I knew things from 30 years ago that were soon to be in our future right now about a lot of things. And not like on the same level of, you know, what we are all experiencing now. But I saw the negativity where it stood, what the Republican Party was standing for, and how they were trying to fight back. And, you know, no matter how hard they fought back in the state of Pennsylvania, you know, the Democrat Party always stood just a little bit stronger, truthfully. Now that did from that point till now, that side has truly changed. Even as Lester Holt said on in Butler County the day that the shot was heard across the world, that how does something like this happen? And this is key when he even says this. How does something like this happen when it's a much larger party on the Republican side in the state of Pennsylvania? And if you think about those words, it makes you really wonder if that is true and he brings truth to it, even if it's by accident. How the hell did Trump lose Pennsylvania? Well, he didn't lose Pennsylvania.
He didn't.
Yeah. So, and Doug Mastriano did not lose the governorship. He was pushed aside in it and didn't argue it, didn't fight it. He just stood his ground and, kept going. And what else does a man do, when he has a job to do for America? I guess that's a good way to start. I hope it helps you a little bit.
No, I just think everything is it's just not right. And considering Kamala didn't even have a vote, the people didn't vote on her to be, the nominee. It just seems like everything is just spiraling out of control. And what I wanted to talk about today is where we're at in the who's governing. I mean, who's actually in the White House? Who's pulling the strings? And we know who it is, but do we have a commander in chief right now? Do we? I mean, who is it? Is Obama?
Yeah, it would be the Joe Obama administration's, administration, which was affiliated with the Clintons. It was affiliated with the Bidens and Michael and Barry and so forth, and a few others. And if you want to know who really the traitors are of the United States, just go back and rewatch, what happened and what went down in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And where is he? Well, he was in Pennsylvania just a couple days ago. He was actually in Southside, and they held a press conference type of, scenario thing, trying to win over the people in mass numbers through the day of labor. But remember who built America? It was our ancestors' blood, sweat, and tears that did it. Men in suits just think of ideas just like war, and they place us in it, and we lose family from it. But at the end of the day, just like that little TikTok thing you just had up, now he's demanding that the shots stop and the war kind of be over. And that's how they create patriotism, to get a vibration going in America. You may have lost family, you may have lost this, that, and the other. You may have suffered and not had enough food, but we won the war. And then people yell and scream because they think they're victorious. We didn't even win World War II. I mean, we didn't. I mean, people really need to look into the information and the sources of the information that can prove that, and they do prove it. We were commanded as to what we would do and who would come into America and how our government would run. And there were agreements made, but these agreements came from the Prescott-Bush era, when Prescott-Bush got caught funding the German war effort, as an American, and then his own predecessors of his family, his grandsons, and so forth, become presidents. And then every scientist of importance starts to come and develop our technologies for us. We were being ran by them. But this goes back even way further than that. This goes back into the 1917 era, where you had the tribunals and with the Bilderbergers and United Nations and blackout meetings protected by military, who were all sitting in this advancement of knowledge, wherever that came from whoever it came from, and dictated how the policies would go into the future as they have come out into the future now. And they're not afraid to admit that they're doing it. They're not afraid to say it. And Carmela makes these little innuendos in her speaking methods of today is today and tomorrow is the past and the past will be tomorrow. That's the bloodline of what they're hoping to extract and plant into people's minds as we grew stronger as a nation and became more I don't want to say obedient, but wise to proper perspectives. And they want to bring out the schwank hanging in the crowd in front of children, and transgender parties and
Oh,
reading
don't get me started with that.
library readings, and yeah. So that's what they look at as the past, because they don't judge anything to be upon a religion. They actually have the information that proves a lot of the things of the earliest times on this planet. Vault 52 has a lot of it. We're finally getting back into there. How and why that's working right now and that's coming out, I'm not exactly sure. Speculation that maybe somebody has a foot in the door up there, trying to take control. It could be the white hats. This is too big of a psychological war for any of us to really grasp what's going on. But at the same time, you have guys like Charlie Ward who's saying, we retrieved all the gold from the tunnels, and he played a big part into that, doing that, an instrumental part. I don't know. He was a bag man for countries that made deals for countries, so he jumped sides to the good side. I don't know whose side he's on at times. I mean, they've always preached that they knew where we were going. Mal K, Michael Jaco, guys that really don't like me because how I talk.
No,
but
why
the truth
is that?
well,
They like you.
No, people want to have a different standard for people. Idolism, Hollywood, movie stars, football players, the wealthy. And basically, if you look at anybody that was in the near or within the White House somehow with structure, who worked there, came out on top. Did they all not come out on top? Think about it. Think who this guy in the Secret Service was that has his own podcast and now owns a social media platform, and who the Speaker of the House was. And when you get into some of these things and what they own and where they gravitated to, they became the wealth over a problem that we suffered through.
Exactly.
And they were all handed it. They were freaking handed it. And that's the saddest part about it. Where people like you, people like me who want to do honest journalism, and I'm not saying that they're not delivering honest journalism, but Tucker's even coming out saying, oh my God, after I find out what I know now, I just don't want to talk about it. Well, then what are you in a position of being a journalist for if you don't want to talk about it? And yet we, as citizen journalists with no educational backgrounds, only what we have of our own resources of intelligence and research, are standing above him. I've talked about things that these people were doing 5 years ago and told them this would all happen. Not because I was a brain, because there was a plan laid out, and I found parts and pieces of the plan. And yes, was I wrong on some cases? Yes, because nobody can validate time. Time is always an appropriation of a manner that keeps control, just like words. Words are power. They're very powerful. And they are also part of the spell. Spelling, spell. Get it? And if you do that, you can direct people. You can hold them by words under your spell. Permits for your home. Taxes on your property. Permits, permission. And so, yeah, it's mind-blowing. And I fight for the smaller guys, the underdogs. I try the best I can. I had to rebuild the reputation that was wiped off the map. I was doing incredible numbers, and I got thrown off for doing it because of how I spoke. So I had to restart again, and I kind of just focused on some of the smaller social media platforms, Facebook, and it's
so I see you were on Facebook last night, but I didn't see them kick you off. So do you think he's trying to loosen it up a little bit? Because normally you couldn't say on Facebook, Zuckerberg. I mean, before you couldn't say anything on Facebook.
Well, they've never taken me off Facebook. Yeah, they've never taken me off Facebook.
Wow, I'm surprised.
They've never taken me off. The only thing they did was they removed views, like 100,000 views, and I got them to add them back on. When I showed them proof of where they existed and what my page was showing on, how well they did. We see who looked at us, so forth. I was able to send it to them, and then they started correcting. But they only corrected the ones that I sent to them that I found, and I said, I'm not putting my life into all that. Keep the views I lost, but they did give me a lot back into the thousands. I mean, to some shows, if I had like 6,000, 7,000 Facebookers watching, and I'm not saying that's a lot, I've seen many
That's a
people get
lot. It's
hundreds of
more than what
thousands.
we get. Well, you know
Well,
what?
they
I
were
see that.
taking.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to finish by saying that they were taking on every show at least 50 to 60% of my viewing and plays.
Wow. Well,
But
I
I
know
got them
how
all
Wendy
back.
Bell got kicked off.
Yeah. I see Wendy every once in a while. We don't talk very much. We did. We had moments together, but she's on her mission. I'm on mine, and she's had a lot of great success. And again, she was in place doing things in a different manner than I was, for sure.
Mhm.
But never got to be on her show. But I do get a nod. She looks down at the ground and walks past,
Well,
for whatever
all I
that
know
means.
is we got kicked off of, well, supposedly suspended from YouTube for talking about the vaccine. Now, that's what led
Mm.
us here because I couldn't understand what was a big deal. I mean, I don't know. But
Yeah, it's admitted. It's now admitted as well.
mhm. I just can't understand why like for you can talk whatever you want about. I mean, but when we say some things in public, you get canceled, or you there's still that little bit of they're not letting you say what you want because you're in fear of saying it because, oh well, like I'm an author. Like if I say anything, oh well, that might bring my sales down. Am I going to be like, no, don't do it, or do I just say hell with it? I don't want you to read my books anyways. It
Hmm.
comes with that. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what is your view? Is good. We're down to what? It's September. We only have a couple more months. So what do you think?
So we're talking about what, 63 days to the finish line? Is that what we're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. What do you think
All
is
right, we'll start keeping track of the number. It's going to be important. Here's the deal. We're the cure. We've seen everything. We've seen people change over the past 4 years. We've seen how the public policies have put the fear of God into people. 2016 and 2020, people were walking around with Trump hats on. Go out to the store with me. Let's go out and do this experiment for a week. Let's see how
Mhm.
many Trump shirts we see. Let's see how many red shirts we see. Let's see how many red hats we see. None. And
Is
there's a silence that can be golden out of all that because we see who shows up at the rallies.
yeah,
But
that's
people have
another thing.
changed.
They're changed, but are they? I know, like my neighborhood, they're afraid to put their Trump signs out, or oh, you better not wear this shirt because I might get beat up.
Hmm.
That's a
Yeah,
lot of people's fear. I mean, because you don't know. I mean, there's nuts out there that just don't like him at all, which
yeah.
I don't
That's
understand that. I don't understand. I'm a
oh,
woman. I'm for Trump. I don't because he said one
yeah. Well,
word. I mean,
you're
it's just so stupid.
right, right. I agree, but you know what? Too, conditioning creates ideologies, and that's somewhere else. If you want to go there for a quick minute, I don't know how much time
No, go there.
you
No,
have to do this today.
I have till 12.
Okay, well, you have a lot of systems of projects, correct? I mean, you know that. One is the media, the fake news, who owns them, State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock, etc., and one's above them. There are two elements above them that are even more wealthy, but we're not going to talk about them names. And it's not Rockefeller or Rothschild, but they are in suit with them. The family are, and the Collins families as well, more so than the Colombians, the Kazarian mafias. So everybody's a control figure component. And where was I going with this? What was your question again?
Well, we were just talking about why is it there's such a stigma like
Oh, yeah. Well, that was because, I mean, here, it's generational. And if you look at wrestling, wrestling even told us about the NWO. They had a wrestling crew called the NWO. They had
Mhm.
Generation X. They had Gen Z. I mean, these things existed 20 years ago. So all these things were being correlated, and people were following them. The old people were watching the news. Walter Cronkite left the air, and basically
Mhm.
fake news took over. And fake news was taking care of certain age brackets. schools were taking care of other brackets. And that's why now they're trying to indoctrinate children and the new age indoctrination of, how do we mind control people? So this mind control has been working for a long time. It started in Montauk with hypnosis and stuff. I don't know if you know about Montauk and the children of Montauk, but
No,
they were being,
I haven't heard of that one. Go ahead and
yeah,
tell me about it.
it's, wow. These torture rituals, sexual acts in front of each other, being taken out of schools, brought into military project scenarios. Montauk was one of the places that was occurring, but there were Montauks over the world. I was just talking to a guy in the UK. It started for him at the age of 2. That he can remember, have the last recalls on what he could actually have a vivid memory of. And they work with the number 33 and hypnosises and water drippings and drugs.
That's
And they did it
horrifying.
yes, they did it with children. And but what they were doing with children, they were prepping to see who the strongest were to get them into the early JFK space programs, not because President Trump said that, well, we're going to have this and it will exist, and he's going to turn it over to Pence to handle it, et cetera, et cetera. No, these things were in place. They were going. I think that was his way of giving us a little bit more
That is
added
horrible.
disclosure. But
That's
so they took generations and they did this. I want you to think about this. This is a critical point, I think, and I bring this up often. When we seen America falling apart, being set on fire, statues being pulled down, where did these kids come from? How were they gathered? How were they taught? How did they know? How were they protected by the government? These government programs and monies offered into the colleges, Stanford, Cambridge, Harvard, Skull and Bones for the president. So that was a different organization, but of the same mind controlling. So when they got into position, they knew how to run the position. They were all in it. Obama was in it. The Bush Jr. was in it. They were in it. They were in these programs. All these programs existed, and even the ones where you see them girls or a couple of those young ladies, their faces are still all over the internet, screaming their lungs out because people on the left side of the sidewalk or right side of the sidewalk have Trump signs, and they would stand there and they would scream at them, and try to break up a good, peaceful gathering of patriots just trying to, share their voice with a permit. And you would get these young ladies out there. How does that happen without some type of influence? It doesn't. It's because everything had a place and time mechanism put upon it, the same as a clock that controls our lives. 8 o'clock, the alarm goes on. Oh, it's time to wake up, rub your eyes, get a shower, have a coffee, head to work. Everything is a control mechanism. Nothing in life has never been not that. Everything is them. It's about slavery from crib to death. And that's the scenario of everything. But they need us for purposes. But when they're done with you and they get their purposes fulfilled, then, they forget the forgotten and they become a forgotten too. And a lot of these kids that are out there screaming and trying to justify what they see as a righteous government and democracy to, lead us into the future is everything but that. It's everything but that. But there will be two sides to every story, and that's the commonality of it. No matter what we're faced with, there's an objective that could be thrown into it. And that's the power of the words, and that's how the spell of the words, if you might want to say the witchery of the spell of the words work. They control us. And but here on the good side, all it has to be done is the papers be burnt. No one has the nuts in their pants to do it.
Yeah, no one has the guts. It's and you know what makes me mad is the celebrities that they have this platform that they can talk about and they can try to sway us or sway people into believing their ideology. And we have a clip here I want to play. George Clooney.
Who did the most selfless thing that anybody's done since George Washington. And that's true. And so all the machinations that got us there, that's all, none of that's going to be remembered. And it shouldn't be. What should be remembered is the selfless act of someone who, it's very hard to let go of power. We know that. We've seen it, all around the world. And for someone to say, I think there's a better way forward, that's all the credit goes to him. And that's really the truth. And all the rest of it will be long gone and forgotten. And so I'm just very proud of where we are in the state of the world right now, which I think many people are surprised by, and I think we're all very excited for the future. And so that's, I think that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, like, who cares about him? Seriously. I mean, why does he
Yeah.
get to be able to say what he wants to say? And they've said so many bad things about Trump. It just
Yes.
blows my mind. And people, the people listen to him. The left is so far gone that they believe everything they hear. It's almost to the point where you're frightened of them, because their mindset, that they think that, oh, some of the stuff that they come up with, like The View is far gone. They shouldn't even have that show on anymore. That some of the stuff that they can say, and people listen to it. And there's a lot of people that listen to The View. And I listen to it because I want to see how much of an idiot they are, especially Joy. I mean, some of the stuff that comes out of their mouth. It'd be nice to have one person on there that tells them on the show, like, shut the hell up. But I don't think we're ever going
Yeah.
to see it.
Well, see, that's part of what I left out when I was talking about that there is a level everywhere of something to reach the audience that controls them. And people fall in love with George.
MK Ultra.
Yeah. Right. And that's how it works. That's the system of it. So it's out there working in many different forms and facets, but it's having its success in ways. But there's a lot of people that turned their backs to all this, of course.
Oh,
People
yeah.
are worried about their food, paying the next food bill at Walmart, because they're pretty much trapped into that vanguard trap of creation that they did. I mean, if you think about it, when we were kids, at least for me, when I was a kid, we had Zehrs, we had Hills, we had Ames, we had Buyers Mart. You had multiple, you had Horns, Gimbals, Coffins. You had multiple choices of where you
We
could
don't
feel
have
comfortable
anything.
or go to shop for different products. And now it's coming down to one day, what she's talking about, that young man, it was just on there because he was still in a diaper when I was a kid, above him. Because I did work within movies and so forth. Never met him personally, but that's what he's talking about, that future of what. But you know what? Both sides have that same future in mind. It doesn't matter if you're looking at a new currency coming in under Trump or a fact of a digital currency that's already being placed through the doings of both sides that got us here, like the track and trace debit card, your driver's license.
No,
We
I don't
also
like
have
that.
biotech technologies now who can identify us from Starlink, our bodies,
Yeah,
because we are all frequencies.
exactly. We are. And you know what cracks me up? Like, I was just talking to wow, what was that? So I was just talking to my daughter-in-law. We were talking about I was talking about my book that was I became a finalist in an awards, and my daughter-in-law's mother said, "Oh my God, we were just talking about it." Like, and all of a sudden it came up on her feed on Facebook. So they're like tracking everything. Now how are they tracking our thoughts? That's what's scary. Unless it's
Well,
just
they
the
can, they can,
phone.
they can. Yeah. Well,
Maybe
I
it's
mean,
just this.
from what I've been told through military ops, some people, I don't know if it's factually true, but they even have ways of frequency, directional frequencies, just like directional weaponry, like in Maui and many other places of the world where the catastrophic fires and things occur constantly for land grab purposes, that they have a technology that can actually affect us, how we act and whatnot. And if you look at that as saying that can't be factually true, look at the weapons of war and why we couldn't use them. Because if they wanted to aim something at you, they could drop you to your knees and have you puke your guts out instantly. But they would never use that because a bullet worked better. But what works better than a bullet for people like us who are on this journey together, for good. It's the power of the words. And our words, if they're used properly and we dictate the information out to the public with honesty and try to give the best integrity with that information we can, we will be victorious. And I do think that there's been no capability of man that ever sat behind a desk to kind of come up with this program as it has come up and how it's been led through for thousands of years on this long game. And it is ritualistic, but more. Because if you put things in place, everybody goes back to that place for the information. And where does it bring you? Right back to the focus of where you are now. It's like if time traveling was true, and you and I decided to go into one of these jump rooms and go back because somebody destroyed our life, and we say, we're going to take him out, and our life will be perfect. And we go there, we take him out, and we come back, and he's still here. Because you cannot really change the past, but you can focus into the past. You can visit the past. It will always be there. It will be part of the universal information of the source, because Earth is a source. It's a universal ether. Information sparking everywhere, everywhere. All these messages from our cell phones are just ricocheting out there in this outer space. And at times, because we are an energy magnet, just like the ley lines of electromagnetism of the Earth, we inject them sometimes. And what is that? A mere thought, that something you never think about just pops in your mind that you never think about. And this does happen. It's kind of like the Mandela effect in a way also, but it's not. But in likeness, it is.
It does. Goes back to everything you can think of, even remote viewing. I mean, government is so involved with everything too. And these cell towers, I truly believe, are going to mess up everything. And I think that not only are they messing up our DNA, they're messing up our thoughts. And you get so much.
It's radiated. Yeah, it's radiated. So what does radiation do to a cancer patient? It destroys them from inside.
Exactly. We're all going to be destroyed from inside out. And who's the fault? Because we want technology, and they want to do it, and we don't have any choice about it. I mean, we tried to fight a tower, and we couldn't get it. They put it up anyways.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And if you look at the planet Earth now, it looks like just like the spike protein with all these towers. And it only took them 6 months to a year for the unelected to come in and make that happen. So these were things that were in place, just like the vaccine cure was in place. And they knew how to do it, and they knew how many bad vials to put in. They knew they couldn't create a controversy that was too big because it would make him look like it was a mass killing event through our own government. So they had to put placebos and saline solution and vitamin
they did
B.
do that. Because, some of your friends are fine. And the other friends you have live on the other side of the country, that they're barely making it. They have that immune vaccine AIDS that they have, and they don't have an immune system anymore because of it. But the other people, your neighbor, might be fine. It's like, where did they do it? And they even did some statistics that it was mostly where the United States were, that they had the bad one batch. And then
I think they want the West because they consider it to be their Atlantis. If you go back into history, so this is why I go where I go, and I go all over the place. It's because we know who was here. It wasn't Columbus. It was the East was over here. They were going all through these countrysides, and then you had the Europeans and the Templars that came in, and were visiting here way before Columbus did. So when you look at everything and why, this is a major attack on the United States, and the Georgia Guidestones, by removing them, really validated what their end game goal was, because they put no investigation together on who did it, who done why, who done what. And if I'm not mistaken, we knew there were even cameras there, and they were mysteriously just gone. It's just it's almost the same thing when you look into Anthony Weiner's laptop or Pelosi's missing laptop from J6. I mean, the right people are holding on to this information. It's an element of time, and I think somebody's playing chess in a
No,
way
somebody
that
definitely is.
in a way that they never anticipated it would happen. They thought
Yeah,
this
and we're
was going to be an easy takeover.
nope, it wasn't. And we're gonna just stop on that note because I want to talk to you about after I come back for this. I have to do my sponsor. What do you think? You know, your views on the assassination attempt when we come right back. So, but first off, I want to thank our sponsor, Smart Labels. Smart Label tracks, manages, and organizes your inventory. Download the Smart app, available on both iOS and Android, and label the box. Each label has a unique identifier and color to help you organize your boxes. Scan the label and the app. You can give each box a name, a location, description, pictures, as well as descriptions of each item inside. And you can easily find your pool supplies next spring, your Christmas this November. Get your Halloween stuff out and easily find items after moving, storage. And if you're looking for a particular item, you can just search for it in the app and it will tell you the location of the box as well as the label, color, identifier, any uploaded pictures. And you can also find out what's in the box without having to open it. So scan the QR code and you're there. So just visit qrssmartlabels.com and get a free use of any Smart Labels app for 1 year with the purchase of a sticker pack. This is great because if you're moving, you can see it. I'm getting the camera. I'm like lopsided. It is really cool. And there's the QR code. And you won't have to find, you struggle to find where you put your stuff. If you're moving, it's a really good item. So thank you, Smart Labels, for sponsoring this episode of In the Know. Okay, so Michael, so tell me, we see all these different videos. Tucker did one. I think Jesse Waters did one. Alex Jones did this analysis of the shooter. And a lot of people think that it was MK Ultra or he was actually working for the FBI or the CIA. What are your views on that?
Well, we know that he was also in a commercial within the school system of South Hills, Pennsylvania, at a younger age. I mean, there are a lot of elements that actually suggest that. Mike Kelly, our representative in Butler, PA, is really investigating this hard. And I think he's taking some time on it because of how some of the similarities of what we see happen are not normal. There were people telling the police there was somebody on the roof even prior to what happened. The police had knowledge of something going on. It was in the radius of a gun. And normally, if it's in the radius of a shot fired, they investigate that entirety. So that was missed. It goes back into saying Moore probably knew about it. And why was CNN there for the first time?
Exactly.
Were they there to witness it? So I think the intention came from a higher spot than the child's mind. I believe there was training put in place, whether he was part of a Montauk project and more, I don't know. I also got some research, but I couldn't validate these offshore accounts that seemed to exist under this young man's name, which was like 1.5 million. I don't know if that's factually true. Maybe I shouldn't even have said it, but I know that that's something else that's out there as part of the news. But what we have to remember, when you have news on one side, you're going to have an obstacle of illusion to create a controversial problem as to how that news gets out. So it's only within the normality of everybody's practice is to create and conquer on divide and conspiracy and break it down to where people were just confused. So when you create confusion, people don't know how to look at it. And most of them just say, I don't have time for this. Let them work it out amongst themselves. And that's where we stay in the game, keep playing it. But I know that it was real. I know that an event did happen. I know that there were innocent people near me up at my woodshop camp that, one gentleman met his death. And that's sad. But I also know that Donald Trump said he's going to come back and visit in an appropriate time and give support somehow. I don't know what that'll be. He may have already done something in the dark. He does seem to pay for things for people if It's necessary, and I think this would be no different of a case. But if you remember how he left the stage, he did it in the number 33.
Mm-hmm.
Fight, fight, fight,
Right.
pound, pound, pound. So he was also giving, I think, a message there, and wherever he could fit them in, without totally exposing the people behind that he's always been in control with over the last 4 years, as he's been collecting and gathering. He can stop the wars because he's working with people that are involved in the wars. But the problem that goes within a lot of what we talk about is how the corporate world needs to work. Now, the small businessmen don't think this large, but the big corporations do. So they follow every presidency, every leadership program, and of course they abide to it. They turn to it. And why? It's because they find support within it. That's why they give them money. That's why they donate money to certain things. It's because they're left alone and they're allowed to run and control, even if it's in a way being harmful to humanity. And many of those things are happening, as we see, because the FDA has dictated certain policies over the last 30 years that got us into poisonous foods, processed foods, all these things. So we see how the aspect of the community really works. But the minute they know that Trump's going to be more powerful, watch them all jump sides again. That's why Trump knows he will have no problem on bringing the country back together. People will follow him because the corporate rule of thumb is to follow the presidency and follow the power structure. If you stay within the power structure, you continue to become more rich.
Right. So, Michael, what's your final words for us today?
Oh, they'll probably never invite me back on.
No, you're always invited back on. No, I think it was very enlightening. And so if someone wants to hear more about you, where can they go? Your shows or
Just watch for me in your groups and watch for me on Facebook, I guess. If you really want to friend me. I'll look into it. I don't accept a lot of friends. You're going to have an impeccable Facebook page in order for me to say I'll accept, because too many trolls come in, and immediately, if they know you're doing shows, they're feeding all their, Bitcoin and, all this stuff. And they basically just, terrorize people with voice. But, and that's why I'm doing this the way I'm doing it now with the public, just by coming in. My face doesn't need to be shown. My voice to be heard is, I think, more exciting for me. I think I get more out of it for people. Maybe it'll be more intriguable. They'll be more intrigued by it, as they're saying, oh, this is the first time I heard this guy, and I will go look him up. And then maybe that's where the truth and followers will come from, because we all need them. You need them. I want to help you build this new Oracle Talk Show Network Project Radio thing you got going on. Sorry if I said it wrong. I know I did.
no, it's the Oracle Talk Radio Network. Yeah, share the link.
I did today already. I tried to share the link. It wouldn't let me. So I took a clip photo and I put it on and said that I would be on the show this morning at 11 a.m. But if you want, send this to me and I will page it to 100 groups.
Great. That would be great. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us, and you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Okay. Take care, guys. Goodbye, America.
Bye-bye. It was really interesting.